Hello, 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 Crossroads, witches and other interesting beings. Thank you for joining me on my series, Let's Start a Coven. Today we're going to be doing part 3, and that is, where do high priestess and high priest come from? And how can you be one? What does it mean to be one? All right, to be a high priestess, I'm going to talk as a high priestess because that's what I am. To be a high priestess means that you are not only responsible for your own spiritual and magical well-being and space, but you're responsible for others. You are there to inspire, encourage, and empower others. You are there to teach, but at the same time to learn from them. It's not about going into space as the all-knowing head who can answer all the questions. It's about going into space with, these are the things I know, these are the things I don't know. Being very realistic with yourself, all right? It is not a 6-week, 12-week, 6 months correspondence course. It is something in your spirit that says that this is what I want to do. I want to stand center, all right? And if you don't have the opportunity of working with a tradition, then you've got to make your own tradition up. You are the high priest, the high priestess of your group. How do you do that? What do you do? And you're like, but I can't tell people that. And I agree with you 100%. So let's start with, I'm not a high priestess, but I hope to be one day, all right? You're going to start out as a facilitator. You're going to start out as a host, a hostess, all right? You are the party planner of the space. You're going to listen to your people, the people that are coming in. You've already set your theme. We talked about this in video 1. All right, you've already got your rules and guidelines. Video 2. Now we're on to video 3. And the video 3 is, you are worthy. You can be a great high priestess, high priest, all right? There are no special mystical humdy-dums that we go through. It is through our actions and our deeds that this is the position we hold. Now, I know in some of the neo-pagan Wiccan traditions, they do the 1, 2, 3 years, and in 3 years they say, oh, you're a high priestess. And I've talked to these people, and what you're like, I'm not ready to have a group. I don't know what this means. And I think that's really a shame that the magical tradition does that to people, all right? I don't think we should ever just give somebody a title when they're not even ready to assume it. And the people around them don't even recognize that energy in them. It is through your actions and your deeds that you are recognized as the high priest, the high priestess of the group. I am talking within a first generation tradition, meaning that you are not coming from another tradition. You are not trying to follow them. You are creating your own. And when you're like, well, how do I do this? And I'm like, you get out and do it. You've created this space for people. Now that they've come into it, you're in charge of it. You need to act accordingly, all right? That is those moments of dignity, of grace, of kindness, and not get caught up in the little stuff. You have to stay above the fray. It's be the, be the change you want to see. If, you can't be off acting foolish, but you want to have a very serious group. You need to be serious. Whatever you're wanting to create is what you need to be, all right? Now, I am not telling anyone to run out, call themselves a high priestess, and go tell everybody that Taren said I'm a high priestess. That's not what I'm saying, so don't do that to me. What I am saying is that through your work, through your words, through your deeds, and through your actions, that the universe will recognize what you're doing, and more importantly, the folks around you recognize what you're doing. They are the ones that are going to be, this is our high priestess, all right? Because they know your work, they know your deeds, they know your actions, and they respect what you've done. This is a position of respect. You need to earn the respect, all right? And then when you take on this role of, I'm the high priestess, what does this mean? It means you show up early, damn it. If that event's at 7 o'clock, you need to be there, at least 20 minutes, if not a half hour early, setting up the space, making sure everything's according to plan, all right? Having your shit together. That is the worst thing that can happen, is if you show up to a group to find out that the high priest is going to be 30 minutes late. I can tell you right now, I ain't going back to that group. Okay, you ain't got no respect for me. I done shown up on time to your party and you're not even here. I don't want to do magic with you. I don't want to do my energy mushy with somebody that's like that. You done disrespecting on me as far as I'm concerned. Remember that, witches. Remember that. Show respect to your people. Show respect through your actions and your deeds. Actions and deeds. Showing up early. Showing up prepared. Showing up with some idea of how the evening's going. And that doesn't mean that it's going to happen the way you wrote it down. Because I will be the first to tell you, honey, I have done some of the most beautiful rituals, and then everybody gets together, but the energy's different. We throw that out and we do something else. And that's because that's what the group wanted. And I realize that it's not my show to put on, all right? It's Taren wrote it down. We must do it. I'm there to facilitate. I'm there to empower. I'm there to inspire. I'm there to encourage. And I'm there to exchange knowledge, because everybody that walks in space has something to learn and something to teach. All right? It's not about being the big know-it-all in this circle. I have folks who come up and ask me questions, and my phrase is not in my wheelhouse of knowledge. All right? Not part of what I know about. If you ask me questions about astrology, astronomy type questions, for example, my eyes start glazing over. Not in my wheelhouse of knowledge. I've never really gotten into it. But I don't feel I don't need to know everything, all right? I'm in the ditch, identifying what's growing in my ditch out front. And if you ask me what's growing out there, I know the answer to that question, all right? And being able to use the talents of your people, all right? We in the house, we have some people. I'm going to give a shout out to Tesseract. He's not only a certified gemologist, but he is our go-to crystal guy, all right? And when somebody has a question, it's like, wait for Tesseract to show up. He'll tell us what to do, all right? As the high priestess, it's again, you're not sitting there saying, I have all the questions, answers. I know everything. Come ask me as I say it, so shall it be done. No, no, no. That is some weird ego trip. That's the beginning of a cult. If you are around these type of people, back out of the room slowly. Y'all know that's my go-to method. If I'm wearing something funky, I'm just back out slowly. We ain't got to say nothing. We can just do that Irish goodbye. Your job as the high priest, high priestess, facilitator, standing center person, your first couple of years, again, you're the party planner. That's what you are. People walk up and say, I'm the high priestess. You can tell them, no, I'm working towards that. Right now, I'm just the facilitator. I need a couple of more years. And I'm going to learn how to be a good high priest, high priestess type. Be honest on where you are, all right? And this is one of those where you can give yourself that plan where you'll be, 3-4 years, you've got a group of people around you. They're recognizing you as the high priest of that group. Then do a little ritual and formalize it, all right? If that's what you need to do. Within the House of Witchcraft tradition, we work first and second degrees. We have, notes written down and things so that it's a way for you to, as a guideline of your own personal knowledge. When it comes to that third degree, to stepping up into a high priestess role, the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is figuring out what type of group you want, what type of theme, what type of flavor. And then I'm going to encourage you to write down your own rules. The same thing that I'm doing in these videos is what I tell my people, all right? And then they go off, they get their group, send me little notes, and I do occasionally have the privilege of being invited into their space, but when I'm there, I'm a guest. This is their group, all right? I'm not there in some weird hierarchy. I'm just there supporting one of my former or current students, friends, whatever phrase they're using with me. I am there for their success in their own group. So that is our house way of doing it. When you're out there, and you're in first generation traditions, you're creating your own magical tradition. You're going to have to spend a couple of years as the hostess, facilitator person, getting it right, learning how to do it, learning how to work with people. And I always recommend go read group psychology, group therapy books, go learn about working group dynamics and everything. And remember those rules that we wrote down last week on how your group operates? You have to follow the rules. There is never an exception for you. All right? You can't. If I break one of the house rules and be like, well, I'm the high priestess, how do you think that's going to help my tradition? How do you think that's going to help my folks that stand in space with me? It's not. It's not at all. I am undermining, I am dividing, I am diminishing. That's terrible. Nobody wants to do that. All right? This is about you getting out there with that honor, reverence, respect, getting out there with dignity, grace, and kindness, and working those and holding yourself accountable for your actions, setting the tone. And people see that. And as you start, getting this group and solidifying and you start working it, and they start seeing the honor, reverence, and respect that you walk, you become their high priest. You become their high priestess. All right? Actions, words, and deeds are what's going to create this. All right? Witches. And do not feel that you're not good enough or that somehow you need to know something or, oh my God, what if I mess up? Well, honey, I done messed up enough for both you and me, so you ain't got to worry about it. I'm going to tell you all a little story real quick. Just so, my first group that I stood center of was Circle in the Willows, all right? We've been together for several years, and we were invited to go to a pagan gathering at Kings Mountain, North Carolina. I think the group was Cat's Lair Temple. This would have been in the early 90s, telling my age a little here. But we've been asked to host the Saturday night ritual, which is the big ritual, and it was a big honor for us, and I was very nervous. As a high priestess, it was my first time in a public space standing as high priestess, all right? And yeah, I was nervous, honey. My tummy was done flipping upside down. And I had to go sit there and say my prayers and remember that the goddess put me here. I have worked hard to be here. I will do right by the space that I walk into. So I've done working this, right? My group, we've done practice. We actually did practice for the ritual because we had some spiral dancing thing to do and we needed people to lead it, so we had to practice. We had our ritual, all done out. I had made this beautiful dress. I mean, it was too pretty, and had a little bit of a drop sleeve to it that had a little tassel hanging on the end. Oh honey, it just looked so stylish. So I go down into circle. Now remember, like this is like 150 people in space. I go down there where the big altar is. It's all set up. My folks have done an amazing job. This altar, it's just breathtaking, okay? And I'm, sort of playing with it and doing a little fiddling here. And then I went to turn away, and some of the sequins that were on the cloth got caught in my cute little tassel that I had hanging. And when I turned, I took the entire altar with me. Oh yeah, just went all flying through the air and onto the ground all around me. And that was that moment of, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And I just stopped for a second. Remember, Goddess has a sense of humor, and I need too. And so the words out of my mouth was, this is going to be a good ritual, folks. I have just pre-disastered it. All right. That's what I did. I just took it in and laughed at myself over the situation. Other folks were so gracious and kind to me. Yes, there's that little inner appalled, I want to run away and hide over what I did. But I realized, shit happens. The goddess has a sense of humor, and I need to as well. And I am so grateful that happened to me. Now that I look back all these years later on that instance, because after you just clear an entire altar in front of 150 people and you've been pre-disastered, it's just sort of frees up a lot of space in your brain not to worry about stuff, where people be like, are you nervous? And I'll be like, oh no, I'm just fine. If you knew what I did last year, this is a piece of cake, You are going to make mistakes, and you may make a big mistake in front of a lot of people, all right? And my advice is to remember the goddess has a sense of humor, so should you, and to understand everybody around you, all right? They're not laughing at you. They're not looking down at you. They are feeling sympathetic. They're supportive of you. I can't tell you how many people came up to me afterwards and hugged me and was like, oh my God, I would have ran and hid if that happened to me. And just all these wonderful, comforting comments that I got from people because I stood in it. All right. Like I said, I stood right there and was just looking around with, oh, this is not going to get any worse at this point. But I owned what happened, I laughed about it, and I was embraced by the folks that were in space with me. And that's what's going to happen to you. All right? You clear that altar, just tell them I have pre-disastered it. The rest of the evening's fine. We can't have anything else worse happen than what I just did. It's okay. You're going to make mistakes. What are you going to do next? You're going to own it. You're going to hold accountability for it. You're either going to clean your mess up. You're going to apologize. You're not going to do it again. Needless to say, I cut those tassels off my dress. that ain't never happening again type thing. That's what I'm saying. Where I'm like, and I will make sure this don't happen again. All right? Live and learn, witches. So yeah, you're going to have to get out there, and you're going to know you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to be okay with them. For the goddess wants you to stand center. You have a spirit that wants to stand center. Okay? The next generation needs folks who want to stand center. This community needs you. We need these first-year generation magical traditions. Every magical tradition out there started with a first generation, okay? All the way back down, Wicca, the ancient 1950s religion that it is. Joe Gardner started it, all right? He was divinely inspired, regardless of what you feel about him personally. I mean, I got mixed feelings on him too. I ain't saying like I got some thoughts that'll be like blah, 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 blah on him. But the bottom line is I have so much respect for this man because he started a magical tradition. And we have many others out there that have started amazing magical traditions. They are first generation. And then the second, the third, and the fourth generations come up behind them. All right. And somehow we think, that, oh, if it's not already existing, we can't create it anymore. And I'm like, we've been creating magical traditions since going back into the mist of times. All right? This isn't anything new. We can get into the 13th century magical secret societies that were later on replaced by the 16th century magical societies that were later on replaced by the 18th century magical societies that were later on replaced by the 21st magical. You can see in history where we have these different magical systems and traditions. They lasted as long as they needed to. They morphed into other traditions. Upon the back of all magical traditions is a previous magical tradition in which they were inspired by. Blah, 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 blah. All right? What the bottom line is, witch, there ain't no reason why you can't do it. The only thing stopping you is you. The only reason you're not doing it is because you're letting that little demon of doubt sit on your shoulder and tell you ain't good enough. All right? Well, kick his ass off your shoulder. Listen to me. You are good enough. All right? You know everything you need to know. It's a matter of getting out and letting your actions and your deeds start doing the work. And over time, you will find that the folks around you will recognize that your energy has shifted and you damn well are the high priestess walking into that space. And it's gonna take some time. This is years in the making, all right? I was in space for 8-9 years, working within my first coven and then going to Circle in the Willows the first couple of years. I'd be like, I'm not sure if I'm really the high priestess, but I'm really working on being one. And on the 4th year was when I was like, I am the high priestess of this space because my folks say so, because I feel it inside, all right? I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know where I've been. And I sort of know where I'm going. So I feel pretty damn good about it. Now, I hope this inspires you to really think in your own headspace about how are you going to facilitate, all right? Like I said, now's the time to start getting some books on group dynamics, how to herd cats. You can learn how to do that. It'll be really well for you, all right? And I hope this helps. I want y'all to succeed. And if any of you are out there, you need little extra words of encouragement, please email me, oneamusingwitch@gmail.com. All right, numerical 1, amusingwitch, all one line, lowercase letters, @gmail. All right, because I'm not joking. I'm not just saying stuff. We need you. Our community needs more people to step up. And it's harder and harder. I know society don't want you to step up. All right? They want to keep the magic community divided. The last thing they want is more of us getting together. We just might actually change the world. Ooh, you never know. You never know, witch. All right. Get out there, fly those brooms. Have a bright, blessed day. And as always, amen, blessed be, ashe, and ebobo.